Hello and welcome to Needful Things Again. Today on Needful Things Again, we're going to be making this beautiful scarf. I know right now it just looks like a piece of yarn with some loops on it, but eventually it will be a beautiful scarf. So let's get our yarn. I'm using a number 4 weight, medium weight yarn. I'm using a Susan Bates 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. So grab your yarn and let's get started. So first, we're going to make a slip knot, as usual. Then we're going to do 24 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Now we're going to go in the second chain from the hook. Do a single crochet. That's 1 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way across. We're going to do our single crochets. There we are, our first foundation row. And we will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. We will end with 23 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work, we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all the way to the end you'll have 23 single crochets when you get to the end of the second row. We're working on the back of our work at this point. Chain 1 and turn. Now we're back on the front side of our work. All the loop work is going to be worked on the front of the work and pushed towards the front. So now we're going to start the loops. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 single crochets. This is our third row, 5 single crochets. Now in the 6th stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, just like that. Then we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now we're going to come back down to the same single we just did, and in between the bars right there of the single stitch, we're going to go right into that single stitch, just like that, and do a pull a slip stitch through. So it's kind of like a picot stitch, really. If you see that, it's like a picot stitch, but a big one. And then we're going to do 5 single crochets in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In the 6th stitch, we're going to do a single crochet, 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Go in between the bars of the single crochet, pull a slip stitch. The next 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will be our last loop. We'll go into the next stitch, which will be stitch number 6. Do a single crochet, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go into the same single crochet you put in the 6th stitch in between the bars, pull through a chain, slip stitch. Then you'll have 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work. And this is what we have now. We have the 3 loops. We're on the back of our work now. So we're going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's right up against that chain, so you have to make sure you get in that right stitch. 5. And then the loop is stitch number 6. So what we're going to do in this loop now is we're going to, and this will always be done on the back side of your work. So we're going to do 10 single crochets in this loop here. So 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then that we're going to make sure we have 5 stitches in between. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to do our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's almost right up against that chain, it feels like. And there's our 5 single crochets in between. Now we're up to that chain space again, or loop. And there we're going to do our 10 single crochets. Just go right in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Then we'll single crochet, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then we're up to our last loop, where we would do 10 single crochets in the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's our last loop complete. We'll have 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 single crochets to end the row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're back on the front side of our work, and this is what we did. So now we're on the front side of our work. We're making a scarf. You can make this as wide as you want to. It's just 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6. The multiples of 6. So now we're on the front again. And we're going to do our 5 single crochets to begin with. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now make sure all these things will be pushed this way towards the front, because your stitch number 6 is going to be in between that little single crochet right there in the middle of the ring. So we're going to flip it over. There's the single crochet, go right into it. Do a single crochet, that's your number 6 stitch. Then we'll go right here, this will be your number 5 right beside it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. Then we're back to the loop again. Bend it to the front. Number 6 single crochet will go into the one that's right in the middle of that loop. Then we have our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And you're pushing those loops forward is what you're doing. So we have 5, and then there's 6 single crochet will be in between. It's always in between there. And you can see the stitch right there. Right there it is. And if you flip it over this way and look at it, it's right there. So here we have our 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push it to the front. There's your stitch right there in the middle. That's your single crochet number 6 of your run. And then you'll have 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1 and turn your work. But first I want to show you what it looks like once you're done with that row. And that's pushed them forward. And so our next row, we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're on the back side. And we're just going to zoom across with single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you'll just do your single crochets all the way across the row. Make sure you'll have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 will be in right in the middle of the loop, all the way across to the end. Keeping all those pushed forward. Chain 1, turn your work. We're back on the front now. In the front, like I told you, the front's where we're always going to do the loop work. So that means now, on the next row, we're going to come in, do our single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this will be 6, and we're going to make a loop. So we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, go back into our same stitch in between the bars of the single crochet, slip stitch. It's a giant picot stitch really, and then we'll have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're at our 6th stitch, so that's where we'll put our loop. We'll do a single crochet, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do our slip stitch. Then we'll have do our 5 stitches, our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 6 will be our single crochet there. 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go back into the same single crochet in between the bars of the stitch. Do a slip stitch. Then you should have 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're working on the back side. There's our loops we just made here. So we do our 5 single crochets to begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's right up next to that loop. And then the loop will count as that number 6 stitch on this side. And we'll do our 10 single crochets in the loop. like we did before. 1, I like to make sure they come down. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 single crochets in the loop. And to make sure you get your 5 stitches in here, if you go to this loop here and you count the first stitch beside it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's your 5 stitches. Don't make a mistake and put it in this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 5th single crochet. Then we're up to our loop. And do our 10 single crochets in the loop. Oops. And our 5 single crochets. There's 4 and 5. Now we're to our last loop, where we'll do our 10 single crochets in the loop. 1, Then we should have 5 single crochets to finish this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work. And we'll have our second row of our loops done. Now we're going to zoom across this row and do nothing but single crochets on this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push that forward, go in between it and that single crochet that's right there. That makes 6. And we'll start here. There's your 5th one right beside it. Sometimes you want to push it over to see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push it forward. Go in the stitch. There's the stitch right there. That'll be 6. Then go here for your 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your 5th stitch. Sometimes you have to pull that loop over. And then 6, of course, is in that stitch is right there in the middle of the loop. And then you'll have 5 stitches left to finish this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Single crochets. This whole piece is just single crochets and chains. Very simple, but very effective. when you get finished, and I'll show you the little trick. Chain 1, turn your work. And what we've done is we've made all those loops on the same side. That's the front of your work. This is what we're doing. So we'll chain 1, turn our work. Four, that's 5. See? We've got 2 loops, 2 loops. And this is what our back section will look like. Okay, so we're just going to single crochet all the way across this row to the end, and then chain 1 and turn. Make sure you keep your loops pushed forward and you don't get them in the back. I've done a piece before and then got a long way onto it, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I did not realize that I pushed that loop into the back and had to rip out the whole entire piece and do it again. It's certainly a study in single crochet. Chain 1, turn your work. We're back on the front. We'll do our 5 single crochets to begin with, as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And there's our 6th stitch where we'll put our single crochet, then we'll do our 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go in between the bars on the single crochet at the bottom that you did. Pull through a slip stitch. Then you have your next 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Making our little loops. We've done this before. We've already done this twice now, so you probably have gotten it really well. If not, you can rewind. So now we're in our 6th stitch. Single crochet, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go into the single crochet in between the bars. Work a slip stitch there. Then you got your 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Stitch number 6, we're going to work that single crochet with 6 chains. Single crochet, 6 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go back into the single crochet in between the bars and the stitch. Go into the stitch, Pull that slip stitch through into the chain we just made, like so. And then finish with your 5 single crochets at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work. Now we're on the back. And this is where we will do the, we'll do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. We'll do the 10 single crochets in our loop. Then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. Remember, it's right next to that, right there. Right next to that one right there. So you have to make sure you get into that 5th stitch. And we have our 10 chains, 10 single crochets on the loop. Then we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See there? That's the tight stitch. You got to make sure you get into that one. That's 5. And we'll do our 10 single crochets and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stitches. So you'll finish that, and I'll meet you when you get back to the other side. Now I'm finishing up my row of my loops. I'm on my last 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain your work, chain 1, and turn your work. I think I was going to say chain your work. And we just made the loops in the back. So now make sure when we get on this row, remember this is where we want to push them all to the front. So we'll just push them over like this. And we'll begin our row with our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push that forward because 6 is the little single crochet in the middle there. That's 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push it forward. There's that single crochet we're going into, but it's behind the stitch there like that. It's right in the middle of that loop. That would be 6. Make sure you pull that to the side a little bit so you can see that stitch, because if you don't, it might be covered and you'll go on the wrong one. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Push it forward. Find your stitch. 6. And then our last 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Chain 1, turn your work, but I want to show you what it looks like. So here's what we're doing so far. It's really pretty. I probably say that about everything, don't I? We've done those 3 loop rows. So we have, let's look at what we've got here. We have our 1, 2, 3 rows. We had our beginning rows. And you can see the rows in between. 1, 2 rows in between, and then a loop. 2 rows of loop. It's like every 3rd row there's a loop. So you'll just keep repeating that. Now we've we finished our loop row, so we're going to chain 1, turn our work, and the next row will be on the back side, of course. That's what the back is looking like. And you'll just do single crochets all the way across. Very simple. So we're just doing single crochets all the way across on this row. So you just complete that to the end, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, I'm at the end of my row. I've done my last stitch in my chain 1. Now I'm going to turn my work. We're back on the front. I'm going to do 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochets. Now we're up to our 6th stitch, which will be that single crochet in the middle of this loop. We'll put in our single crochet, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Work our slip stitch at the bottom of it through the previous single crochet. Then we have 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're back to our 6th stitch, which will be single crochet, 6 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Do our slip stitch in the single crochet, 5 single crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Single crochet in the 6th stitch, chain 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Go down to the single crochet you put in the 6th stitch, go in between the bars, pull a slip stitch, make a giant picot sort of thing. Then we'll have 5 stitches left, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 single crochets. Chain 1, turn your work. We just did the loops again. There. Like so. Chain 1, turn your work. We're on the back side now. We'll do our 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're to our loop that we created with our 6 chains, and we're going to do 10 single crochets in that loop. You know the drill. Now we're going to do that all the way across. We're going to do our 5 single crochets. We'll do 10 single crochets in this loop, 5 single crochets, 10 more singles in this loop, and then finish with our 5 single crochets, chain 1, and turn. So I'm going to complete that off camera, and I'll come back to you when we get to the end. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. I've done my 3 loops. got my last 2 single crochets to do here. Then we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. We're back on the front section. All our little loops we've made. So now we're just going to zoom across here, doing all single crochets in every stitch. And remember that this one is the single crochet that's right there in the middle of the loop. It's right there. Boom. On this side you can see it if you pull your work open. It's right there. So we're going to go across there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure you get that 5th one. It's pushed up against there. 5. Push that down. 6. Pull that over to get that one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push that down to get the 6th one. There it is right there. Push it down. Number 6 single crochet. I'm going to push that one a little bit there to see that one. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Push that down. There's our single crochet. That's number 6. And then we'll have 5 stitches left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here's where we are now. So you'll just keep doing that until you get it as long as you want your scarf to be. And you can finish it off. Do another row there of single crochets across the back. The next row is in the back and it's all single crochets. And then when you finish, I'm going to show you on the sample what we're going to do with these little loops that we've created. And that's where the magic happens. So we've chained 1, turn our work, and single crochet all the way across this one here. 1, 3, 5. So just crochet all the way across this row. We're on the back side of our work right now. And I'll meet you at the end of the row. Okay, I'm at the end of the row. I have 2 stitches left. Chain 1, turn your work. And since this is just a sample piece to teach you how to do this, you're going to make your scarf or your blanket or whatever. You can make it as wide as you want it or as long as you want it if you're making a scarf. So we have this row here that we just did, so we're going to do one more row across there just to have it look, you know, like this bottom here. We need 2 rows up here to finish. And if you're doing a scarf or a blanket, then you can make an edge to go around it if you want to, you know. I would just do a single crochet all the way down the side if you wanted to do that. It's not necessary because this pattern makes a really nice edge. You could put fringe on the bottom. You could do some fringe if you were making a scarf or even a blanket. You can put fringe on a blanket. I've done that a million times. So we'll do one more row across the top to complete this, and I'll meet you at the end here. Okay, so I'm at the end of the row. I finished that last row, and since this is my sample piece, I'm going to show you the magic in the loops. I'm going to cut that off. Okay. So we have our loops here, and we've cut our piece off. Okay, so now we're going to do our braids. We're going to braid I'm going to put this back in here. I reattach my yarn because I want to show you something. So we're just going to pull these through. Give them some stretch. Like so. And we're just braiding them. Like this. And you can imagine this would be a really beautiful braid if it was really, really long. You can come down from that way and do them as well. I'm just pulling them in. See, just pulling it through. This one will go into this one. Just pull it through the loop. Give it some tug. And then we're going to turn our work, chain one, turn your work. We're going to connect these to the top of this. Just do our singles across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll connect it on the 6th one. And, you know, just like pull up a loop. You're going through that, your 6th stitch, and just do a single crochet and just keep on going. There's your 6th one. We'll pull this one out. We'll go through. Just grab a loop. Try to get it, you know, as centered as possible. Now we're back on our front section, and you'll give it a good stretch and it'll all work itself out. So there's the pretty braid, and we've attached it to the top, and then you'll just do one more row to finish it off. And you can make it as long as you want, as wide as you want. You can play around with the braids, make them longer, make them shorter. So I hope you enjoy this pattern. Make something beautiful and send me a picture. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon at Needful Things Again. Have a great day.